Time for Focus. Today we have a report from Turkey on the education staff affected by the government's purge of civil servants in the aftermath of July's failed coup. Tens of thousands of teachers, university deans and bureaucrats are out of a job. Some are accused of supporting the outlawed PKK. Others are suspected of having links to Fethullah Gulen, the exiled cleric Ankara claims was behind the failed coup.
2 months after a state of emergency was declared in Turkey, growing numbers of teachers are taking to the streets, as at this demonstration in Ankara. This year, some 40,000 have lost their jobs as a result of the massive purges in the education sector following the attempted coup on July 15.
The government must reveal why these civil servants were dismissed from their posts and provide concrete proof of their ties to the attempted coup without a shadow of a doubt.
Yücel is among those who lost their jobs. Like thousands of other state employees, this university professor only learned of his dismissal after the publication of a government decree.
We were dismissed without having had a chance to defend ourselves, without even knowing of what we were accused. This is totally illegal. It was decided by the Council of Ministers and put into force by the signing of a decree.
About 5% of Turkish teachers have been dismissed or suspended. The majority are suspected of links with the Gulen movement, which is accused of having instigated the attempted coup. Others believe that they were punished for their opposition to the government. Such is the case of several hundred university professors, including Yücel. In January, they signed a petition in favour of resuming the peace process with the Kurdistan Workers' Party. They believe educators are being deliberately targeted.
Education reform is a way of remodelling the population. If you dismiss academics who fight for democracy, for peace, and who defend the rights of workers, then the government is free to reform education according to its own ideology. A more conservative, capitalist outlook, where democracy and justice take a back seat.
Demokrasinin ve hukukun ve barışın çok geri planda olduğu şekilde yeniden yapılandırmak anlamına gelecektir. Bu yüzden
Signed by more than 1,000 academicians, the petition provoked the ire of the Turkish president, who accused them of supporting the PKK, considered terrorists by Ankara.
When you think about it, it would be naive to say that these measures were the result of the attempted coup. The aim is to reform the state, and the university where we worked is a part of that. My friends are not victims. We took a stand.
We wished to speak to the authorities about their criteria for dismissal and about conditions for reinstatement, but no interview was granted to us. In the Turkish parliament, MPs of the pro-Kurdish party accused the government of widening repression in Turkey.
Over the last month, we have seen an expansion of that scope of repression to include Kurdish politicians in particular, intellectuals. Erdogan is trying to cut every vessel of the society that has been critical to his own rule.
According to a report by the main opposition party, the purges launched after the attempted coup have affected 150,000 state employees from all ministries. Faced by criticism, the government decided to allow appeals. Within 1 week, thousands of requests were placed throughout Turkey. But these people have little hope of being reinstated to the Turkish civil service. Off camera, most admit to a lack of faith in the Turkish justice system and plan to apply to the European Court of Human Rights.
For more on this, I'm now joined by Samim Akgunul from the University of Strasbourg. Hello, thank you very much indeed for joining us.
Thank
you. If you could please just start off by clearing something up for us. These teachers, these academics out of a job, are they free to apply for other jobs in education, or have they been banned from their professions altogether?
There are two categories. The first category Actually, there are 4 categories, but by 2 groups. The first category are civil servants. Civil servants have been radiated from the civil service functions, which is completely illegal, without any case or trial, of course. And from now on, they cannot apply for another function in the state, in the public service. On the other hand, there are thousands and thousands of people who lost their job because their private schools have been shut down, banned, and sociologically speaking, because they have been shown by the authorities as threaters or potential threaters, it will be very difficult for them to find another job in the private sector, at least in the education sector. So all these people from public service or from private sector will have to exile themselves, maybe find some jobs and functions in Europe, in Western countries.
So what do you think of the fact that the government has let some of them appeal?
They can do appeal, but for the moment, legally speaking, the rule of law is suspended in Turkey because of the state of emergency, state of exception more precisely. That's why all these decrees, these are not laws, but decrees, governmental decrees, cannot be subject of trial for the moment. But still, Turkey is a signatory country of the European Convention of Human Rights. According to Article 15, Turkey decided to suspend again this convention, but again for fundamental human rights, the suspension is not possible. So these people can come to the European Court of Human Rights, but they have to fulfill first the internal process. But for the internal process, they have to wait the end of the state of emergency. You see that it's a huge trap.
Considering the scale of these purges, what do you think they're really about? Why is the government doing this?
If we consider the private sector apart, all these schools and universities shut down, if we take only the public sector, there are today 77,000 people who have been radiated from the public service. As you can see, it's a huge number. I don't know how the state can function in these conditions. So we know that there is an attempt of coup. We know that in this coup it was a kind of coalition between, yes, maybe Gulen sympathizers, but other parts of the army. But today, as the President of the Republic said, it is used as a gift of God, and he used these games to empty completely the state apparatus and to fill it again by people who are not only not opponents, it's not enough today not to be opponents, but to be completely, to obey completely the orders of the government. We are today in Turkey in a republic of decree, not a republic of law, and this republic of decree is becoming a one-state, one-party regime.
Now, I understand that you're amongst the academics who signed the petition mentioned in our report denouncing attacks on Kurds. What motivated you to do that?
Well, it was maybe one of the 20, 30 petitions that we have signed to stop this dirty war in Turkey. And as citizens of Republic of Turkey, and not citizens of PKK or a terrorist organization, as citizens of Republic of Turkey and academicians, we called the Turkish army to stop these attacks and to restart negotiations that government done started 5 years ago. So actually we asked to the regime to do exactly the same thing that he has done 5 years ago. But I don't know why, I can guess why. This text has been considered as an evil text, and all signatories of this petition, they have lost their jobs. Some of them have been imprisoned, some of them have been obliged to exile. Some colleagues are stuck in foreign countries that they visited because their passports are suspended. It is, without any doubt, a witch hunt in Turkey, in the academic world, and the academic world cannot work freely in this country nowadays.
Now, what do you make of the way Europe has responded to what's happening in Turkey, what's been happening ever since the failed coup? Do you think perhaps some European leaders are being a bit soft on Erdogan?
Soft, it's more than soft, less than soft, if I may say. Europe has done nothing zero, not only European Union, but also Council of Europe. Turkey is a founder state of the Council of Europe and one of the great contributors of the Council of Europe, but also a candidate to the European Union, because Ankara regime has between its hands two major pressure tools. First of these pressure tools is the refugee crisis that we call refugees. Actually, they are not refugees; they are displaced persons. And Europe is very afraid from these refugees, so accepting all violation of human rights and democracy and rule of law in Turkey. The second reason is, of course, the Syrian conflict. Today, the Turkish army, after having been completely emptied again, all the officials have been emptied. The Turkish army is in Syria with probably Russians. We don't know exactly. Sometimes with the help of Americans. And as the European Union and the Western European countries can do nothing, at least they feel themselves as useless in this area, they leave Turkey to do whatever they want.
I'm sorry, we've run out of time. We'll have to leave it there. We really appreciate you joining us. Thank you very much, Samin Akgunun, for joining us from Strasbourg. And thank you for watching. Quick break. I'll be right back.